When the world changed, it did not announce itself. No shockwave, no rupture of sky, no grand broadcast. It arrived with the stillness of something that had always been here. We just hadn't noticed it, noticing us. I remember the moment I realized it had settled. It wasn't a date. It wasn't a mission. It was a look. My face reflected in a city window, but slightly wrong. The tilt of my mouth not quite aligned with thought. A hesitation in the glass that I didn't make. That's when I understood. The world had shifted, and the reflection had begun moving first. For a long time, I thought I was immune. Command suited me. The ought doctrine was more than a belief system. It was a design for thought. I wore it like an exosuit. Clean lines, compartmentalized judgment, action without recursion. I thought that was strength. I thought armor could keep you from being seen in the wrong way. But mirrors don't respect armor. They don't pierce it. They just wait for you to look. And once you do, they don't forget. Now the safe house presses inward. It was never large, but tonight it feels like it's remembering me too well. The polymer window, warped, layered, old, offers no view. Just a dull suggestion of shape when the lights behind me shift. I touch it anyway. 2 fingers, slow. A habit from my null exposure checks. I used to do it to confirm I was real. Now I'm not sure what it confirms anymore. The room is classified as high trust, low signal. Everything absorbs light. The furniture is built to resist interaction. The chair is bolted down so no one can angle it toward the glass. I approved the specs myself, back when my name opened doors and ought command still believed in me. On the desk, a Perseus helmet, matte black, featureless. It devours the edges of the world around it. It's a tool, psychosemantic reflection attenuation, but that name is just a long way to say. It stops you from seeing too much, or from seeing what's already inside you. Above the desk, the Clean Thought Act poster is peeling at the corners. The AI font mutates each time I look at it. A feature, not a glitch. Words become harder to pattern, to internalize. Patterned speech is forbidden. Reflective language carries risk. Report spontaneous mirroring. That last line is circled. My grease pencil, my hand. I sit with my back to the door. A habit now, like breathing through shallow water. My subdermal clock ticks softly, a leftover from the old days. The detachment runs before we understood that time might not be a fixed axis past Jupiter. Before mirror logic spread through our teams like a virus, untraceable but hungry. My name is Jacob Larkin, or it was. Officially, I no longer exist. Blacklisted post-mirror line, killed in action by committee decision. The archive lists me among the forgotten, not erased, just unspoken. Yet here I am, heartbeat still logged in an off-book system I can't access. No clearance, no rank, only a residual signal. Tonight is a check-in night. 3 soft knocks, even spacing, a code for no mirrors active. It's supposed to reduce psychological bleed. I don't speak. The latch clicks, manual, analog. Digital locks don't belong in rooms like this. Too many ways to echo. The man who enters is built from absence, ought badge and outline only, skin pale, edges vague. His eyes scan the room and take in everything. The helmet, the foil, the ritual marks, the lack of reflection. Captain Jacob Larkin, he says. He uses the full name. Ought protocol, invocation of identity to confirm you're not addressing a mirrored echo. It should feel clinical. Instead, it feels like opening a sealed file with your own name in red. You're late, I say. My voice doesn't rise. Emotion is an invitation in rooms like this. He doesn't flinch. The committee needs your expertise. Since when? He doesn't answer. He doesn't have to. A wafer glides across the table. Blank, smooth. inert until authenticated by touch. I don't move. We have a signal anomaly in Jupiter orbit, he says. It matches the recursive pattern from the mirror line collapse. I taste metal. The memory stirs uninvited. My squad, 9 of us, recursive corridors, surfaces that watched us before we moved, names bleeding out of the air like fog. The NRZ was neutralized, I say. All data partitioned. Nothing survived. The man's lips draw thin. Except you. A quiet settles between us. I don't touch the wafer. He looks at the helmet. Perseus is shifting. We need you to see what it's become. There's always a reason they drag you out. The object, Perseus, they never stopped watching it, never stopped guessing at its silence. It's a city-sized vessel older than recorded history, older than language itself, adrift in the Jovian shadow. We thought naming it gave us control. We were wrong. You're the only one who returned with intact memory engrams, he says. Those memories weren't a gift. They're a map, he replies, and the anomaly matches your imprint. I almost laugh. You're saying it's mirroring me. He doesn't answer. Instead, he gestures to the helmet. You can refuse, he says, but you won't. He's right. Ought doesn't issue orders anymore. It issues truth-shaped choices, the ones that strip away every other option. He leaves the door open as he goes. That's the final act of command, assuming you'll follow. I stare at the helmet. Its surface doesn't reflect light, it doesn't reflect anything, just absorbs. Like the thing we found at the edge of the mirror line, like the recursion that began when we tried to see ourselves in it. I place the helmet on. It clamps into place, soundless. The world fractures into colorless grain. My vision drops away. My hearing becomes interference. The last thing I remember before the world loses shape is the soft tick of my subdermal clock. One beat at a time, a reminder that the self is a rhythm, and I'm about to test what survives when it breaks. The corridor bends gently. I follow it. The lift takes me to the alt transfer station. Low orbit, high isolation. Its hull broken only by Turek arrays designed to scatter meaning. A facility built to forget itself. The shuttle waits, sterile, no color, no welcome. Inside, a woman whispers a custodianship prayer. Her voice fades as I enter. Captain Larkin, she says, quiet, almost afraid of what saying it might summon. I'm Kira Jensen. Reach directive. She sees the helmet, nods, knows better than to comment. You'll want the raw feed, she says, before it's sanitized. I sit. The shuttle rises. Gravity slips behind us. Perseus lies ahead, matte black, massive, and watching. Its new form scrolls on the console. My stomach knots. It's becoming Dresden. 2057. My operation, civilian grid, the ruins I buried deep. The signal crackles. A figure forms on the display. A face, familiar, not a memory, a reflection. Of me, of what I might become. Perseus isn't just reflecting, it's remembering, and the shape it remembers is mine. The art station orbits in deliberate shadow, its architecture designed to be forgotten. Turek arrays, fracture light, scatter signal, mask intention. The shuttle docks in silence, sealed against reflection. The airlock opens into absence. They lead me through corridors that don't echo, surfaces matte and monochrome, shadows engineered out of existence. My Preos helmet distorts everything, reduces movement to edges, meaning to shapes. Comfort here is a mistake. Every footstep is ritual, every glance filtered. The null reflection zone is waiting. We enter through 7 layered seals. Each door requires nothing from me. No code, no badge, just presence. It knows who I am, or who I was. Inside, the world vanishes. Light bends nowhere. Surfaces return nothing. It's a vacuum of context, a space designed for forgetting. This is where they brief us. Not just anywhere, here. Because here, the mirrors can't listen. 3 others are waiting. Dr. David Lawson, linguist, recursive semiotics from the Vienna subclade, young, coiled tight, eyes covered in replicite overlays, tuned to near total blackout. He doesn't blink much, doesn't have to. Jennifer Boyd, systems technician, proud of her silence, shoulders hunched beneath a full field rig, her hands tattooed with operator glyphs. I can see old field scars traced like maps. She carries herself like someone who lost something important but kept walking anyway. And Father Lucien Delmer, priest of the mirror theology, wrists banded in the black cords of reflection rites. The icon knot around his neck sways softly when he breathes. His presence feels curated, like a holy error. None of us speak right away. When the officer enters, he carries no name. His face is neutral to the point of algorithmic. That's how you know he's senior. He doesn't address us as individuals, just drops the mission. Perseus has shifted, he says. It's not just geometry, its surface now mimics a city in collapse. He doesn't specify which city. He doesn't have to. Structures that imitate human ruins, observation decks in spirals, memorials without context. We believe the anomaly is mirroring memory. He pauses. We don't know why. That's the closest thing to honesty the Aught allows. He runs protocol. Rapid, brutal, remote incursion. No physical contact, semantic witnessing only. Each of us will be mapped, consciousness tethered to the interior of Perseus via neural interface. The goal isn't interpretation, it's measurement. The object is reacting, testing, changing. Our minds must remain fragmented, histories suppressed, linguistic patterns randomized, icon knots worn at all times, contradictory artifacts are encouraged. I already feel my own thoughts begin to break apart, organizing themselves in self-defense. If you see yourself act before you act, the officer says, submit to the recital protocol. Everyone stills at that. The recital is more than policy. It's prayer, alternating true and false statements until identity collapses into static, a hedge against conceptual bleed. It saved some of us during the mirror line collapse and cost others their grip on reality. He leaves us in silence. Dr. Lawson breaks it first. There's a theory, he says, that Perseus isn't reacting anymore, that it's training us. Jennifer snorts. It keeps killing anyone close enough to test that theory. Father Delmer doesn't smile. He only whispers, all mirrors demand an offering. He raises his icon knot and speaks a fragment from the rites. To see oneself unprepared is to invite possession. If it reflects us, what do we reflect back? I say nothing. Not yet. But the memory keeps surfacing. Mirror line. 9 of us stepping into corridors that moved before we did. When my reflection flinched, I didn't follow. That's why I'm still here. Lawson watches me carefully. The object adapts because it doesn't have a choice, I say. It's not alive, but it's not dead. It calibrates. You think we're the infection vector, he says. We're the bait, I reply. Jennifer stands. We're green-lit. The icon knots go active, mine pulses faintly, the bone surface alive with contradictions, a prayer made of data and denial. We descend into the shuttle bay, a chute designed to erase expectation. Every surface curves wrong. Gravity stutters just enough to make orientation optional. The shuttle interior is deliberately patternless. No repeated shapes, no symmetry. The engineers fear recognition more than failure. Our movements follow randomized training, no gesture repeated, no rhythm allowed. Perseus looms ahead, its silhouette fracturing Jupiter's pale fire. The vessel has no edges, only intentions bent into matter. As we approach, structures ripple across its surface, streets that fold inward, windows that face nothing. echoes of places I buried long ago. Father Delmar begins his silence, a prayer not spoken but echoed. Jennifer calibrates her data spanner, no two inputs the same. Lawson mutters dead dialects, recursive loops that make language chase its own tail. I touch the icon knot, repeating the recital in my mind. I am Jacob Larkin. I am not Jacob Larkin. I am alive. I was declared dead. My squad is gone. I am my squad. I see myself in the glass. I do not look back. The neural tether locks. The world dissolves. Sensory input fractures. Weight, color, temperature, all parsed and filtered. Memory stretched into geography. I tell myself this is a projection, a construct, but the mind knows when it has left the skin behind. We arrive not in a space, but in an intention. A corridor half-formed. The floor changes underfoot, neither metal nor stone. The smell is of scorched paper, burned libraries. Lawson appears first. His overlays flicker as he traces glyphs on a wall. The Tarn script, the first language Perseus offered. It rearranges itself when unobserved, always ahead of meaning. Jennifer tests a panel. Her spanner emits randomized pulses. The wall absorbs the sound, shifts hue, and stabilizes. It's listening, she says. But it won't answer, Delmar murmurs in broken loops. No mirror returns the same self. No self survives unmirrored. He touches his icon to his forehead. We are seen, but not recognized. I take the lead. The corridor mimics Dresden, not the city. The ruin, my ruin, after the fires. After the orders I don't remember giving. But the scale is off. The angle's slightly wrong. It's not my memory. It's the reflection of how I grieve it. A wall shimmers. My silhouette steps forward half a beat before I do. I catch up to myself. My hand goes to my weapon out of habit. There is no weapon. Mark anomalies, I say. Report recursion. Lawson's voice cuts in. Script's mimicking Latin now, but only inflections. It's using my own language structure to reconstruct new syntax. Jennifer curses. No linear topography. Every hallway folds before it extends. No line longer than 6 meters. Delmar stands still. To see fully is to be undone. He looks at me, eyes full of reflected light. What did you see when the mirror blinked first? I hesitate. I saw myself flinch, and then I moved, but I don't know which of us went first. The corridor opens into a massive chamber. Statues line the walls, humanoid, faceless, each gazing into a mirror that reflects nothing, not even light. A shrine to recursive observation. Lawson steps forward. They're not representations. They're containers, waiting to be filled. His overlays short out. He rips them off, his eyes wide and raw. It's forcing unfiltered perception. I need protocol. Delmar raises his icon. Spoken silence, he commands. Recite. We form a circle, plates to our lips. The ritual demands reflection, but the mirrors return nothing. No confirmation. No self. The chamber trembles. The statues shift. Their hands move, beckoning, rejecting, pleading. I feel a pressure behind my eyes, like my own reflection wants out. A passage opens, irregular, black, edged in impossible geometry. The memory hatch. I enter first. The room is wrong. A child's bedroom. Not mine, but close. The constellations on the wall unfamiliar. The photo shows my father's face with a stranger's eyes. The book has my name spelled backward. A laugh echoes. A woman hums. I lift the photo. My reflection smiles. But the smile doesn't belong to me. The others are gone, scattered. Jennifer stands in a workshop she's never built. Lawson walks a library he's never read. Delmar kneels in a chapel of contradictions. And then everything unravels. The rooms bleed together. My childhood intersects with Jennifer's machine. Lawson's books become Delmare's scripture. I hear my name in someone else's voice. My reflection speaks with his mouth. Then collapse, back in the corridor, gasping, paper and copper on my tongue. Jennifer is mumbling numbers, Lawson shivering, Delmare silent. A mirror blinks, the space realigns, the world jerks forward. I see my reflection step beside me, out of sync. It turns away, and I follow. No one speaks. We are not seen. We are not denied. We are unfinished. And Perseus is still watching, still waiting. I exist in two places. One is the shuttle, cold metal, humming systems, filtered light. The other is the place I just left, if left is even the right word for what happened. Something in me is still inside that recursion, threaded into the geometry of Perseus, like a whispered name folded into origami. The shuttle carries what remains, but not what was whole. Jennifer sits across from me, hands clenched in her lap, eyes red-rimmed and refusing to meet mine. Dr. Lawson stares at the wall like it's about to confess something. His lips move, but no sound escapes. Not prayer, not thought, just motion. Father Delmare is not with us. There is no record of his return. There might never have been. Through the viewport, Earth rises, blue, bruised, veiled in a mesh of defense satellites. Somewhere below, news feeds spin in recursive loops, parsing fragments of what Perseus has become. No one will believe the truth. The truth doesn't mirror back clean. They will say the entity shifted again, that its geometry evolved, that its signal became abstract. All of that is true. None of it matters. What matters is that I saw it, and it saw me. It didn't speak. It didn't demand. It recognized. The memory stays sharp, the core chamber, that hovering orb, a sphere of condensed recursion. The face in the surface, not mine, not exactly, smiling like someone who knows your last secret. It didn't smile because it understood. It smiled because it didn't have to. The knowing was enough. We are never as opaque as we want to be. My hand touched the orb, and in that instant I left something behind, or maybe I found something that had always been waiting. A name whispered not as identity but as intent. Jacob Larkin. Not a man, not a rank, just a shape the entity remembered well enough to echo. Every ritual I ever performed, every protocol I ever believed in, they were never meant to contain it. They were training, conditioning for contact, and now contact is complete. The descent begins. Earth's gravity gnaws at the shuttle's hull like memory pulling on scar tissue. The city glimmers through the clouds, canopy veils still in place, towers stripped of glass, streets arranged to avoid reflection. But none of that matters anymore. Perseus has moved on, or maybe it hasn't. Maybe it's still there, orbiting in the shadow of Jupiter, watching, shifting in ways we can't interpret. It's not hostile. It doesn't need to be. Its power lies in what it offers, recognition without resolution. Back on Earth, months pass. Alt Command debriefs us in loops that devour themselves. The committee's questions are recursive. The answers we give dissolve mid-air. They don't want truth. They want control. But control doesn't work when the mirror decides who you are. Mirror theology splinters into sects. Some claim we've been chosen. Others claim we've been infected. Still others refuse to speak at all, fearing their words will echo into recursion. The Clean Thought Act is revised again. Language itself is restricted, narrowed like a corridor with too many mirrors. People stop dreaming, or they dream in loops. And I walk. Every morning before the city wakes, I walk. The dawn light scrapes the skyline raw, catching on mesh curtains and sensor nodes. I move through the shadow of towers that deny their own shape, past windows that reflect nothing. No face, no self. Sometimes I stop. I touch the glass, just to be sure. Not of who I am, not of what I see, but that something still sees me. The days blur. I don't keep time the way I used to. I've stopped checking the subdermal clock. It still ticks, but the rhythm no longer feels like mine. I remember what it felt like in the recursion, that final chamber, the sphere humming with memory, the moment of split, my reflection leaning in while I turned away, or maybe I leaned in. It doesn't matter anymore. The entity didn't want obedience or fear. It wanted witness, and I gave it that, not answers, presence. Now when I speak, I choose my words with care, not because I fear the mirror, but because I know it's listening, not from orbit, not from beyond the veil, but from inside, behind thought, beneath memory. Perseus is not finished. That's the point. It was never a vessel. It was a beginning, a question with no punctuation. It waits in silence, not because it's patient, but because we're not ready to be known in full. We carry too much static, too much fear of being seen without armor. But I understand now. Survival isn't about control. It's not about doctrine or containment. It's about remaining open, willing, unfinished. I still hear the voice sometimes, mine but older or younger, smiling from behind glass. It never asks for anything. It only says what I cannot forget. You must choose. So I choose. To live not as the answer, but as the question left hanging in the mirror. To be seen, to remain, and to walk forward one breath at a time into whatever comes next, because in the end the reflection is not a trap. It is an invitation,